Gunpowder Milkshake, the brand new film, which will be on Netflix for the US only and internationally in theaters. And this movie is a mess. This is a mess of a movie. Whoo! Where do I start? Like, okay, I'll mention the good stuff first. The cinematography of this film is great. It's beautiful to look at. The score, like the actual like music of the film, is wonderful. It kind of gives you scenes goosebumps for moments that are not that spectacular to look at. You have pretty well good performances like Carrie Gillan, who I've been a fan of since Doctor Who, her being Amy Pond in Doctor Who, and of course she's Nebula in the MCU, and she's Jumanji and all that kind of stuff. You got Michelle Yeoh and Nancy Bassett and Paul Giamatti, and your head and Laurie Hay, like all this cast that you're like, this is a pretty decent well cast. This at worst has to be okay. But the narrative, the biggest problem with this movie is its structure and how it's shot and how the story is structured. Like the first half of this movie had any lack of focus. It didn't have any focus of it. Like, you had like 3 focuses in the first half that I didn't know what I was meant to care for. Like, is it the relationship between Sam, who's Carrie Gillan, who's our main character, between Sam and her mom? Am I meant to care about her having the mission that went wrong? Am I meant to care about the mission that she's on now and the events that follow? What am I meant to care about? What am I going to lynch on? Because here's the shock horror of the first half, the first the first 20 minutes of the movie. It's mostly Carrie Gillan walking down in a trench coat and hat, being all mysterious, and that's basically it. Walking down hallways and maybe a scene of it, and you're just losing any sense of like what is the story, what is at least the setup of what the story's going to be. And when we get to the first action sequence, you're thinking, well, is the action good? The action is creative in concept, but it follows in, like, chopping editing. Like, it's quick cutting to the point you're like, I'm looking at really good choreography, but I don't know what's going on. Like, I get the ideas, it's, Sam finding 3 guys in a bowling alley where most of the lights are off to set, like, the main lights. Set the bowling, the bowling rings. I get that part, but I don't know. Like, someone screams, like someone got stabbed or something, and I don't know what they were getting stabbed or where it was at or whatever, because it was so cut, so quick cutting. And I'm like, oh my lord! Like, the creative size of the action sequences have been like, okay, you have Sam whose arms are paralyzed. And there are guys who are injured, who are basically on morphine, and you got the 4 of them having a fight while they're basically all in a nutshell paralyzed on one side and the other. I thought, okay, that's a neat fight. That's a really creative way to do an action sequence, but it becomes across as goofy. It's across as pow and bang, and like it became so bad towards it. And there's also another like a car chase that happens. That was quite creative in like how the car was getting drove. All that. There's moments in this movie that is meant to make you care that you don't, because there's not enough time to flesh out the relationship. There are there's stuff with coincidences that it just happens to happen that the secret hallway that was in the hotel would just have to be on the bridge next to the library that has the three Abrarian assassin chicks. Oh, who knew? And then the movie just like drags on. Like when the movie you thought ended, it had like, it's like you thought we were credits in 2 minutes. No, 15 minutes. You need to fit in 15 minutes. This movie is way too long. There's so many issues with this movie. So many issues with this film. Like the concept of guns, you know, here's a pair of guns that has knives attached to it. I'm like, oh, that's a neat thing. Oh, that's kind of neat. You know? This movie was bad. Like, I felt like I would spend, like, the next 30 minutes of this listing every little problem I have it. And stuff just happens. Like, when, as I said in the bowling alley, give you they try to do the whole quick cut. You know what it feels like? I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like someone wanted to kill Bill and wanted to do the, what's it? 5 Fox 5 or whatever the Pulp Fiction, but they want to do like their version of Kill Bill, but it didn't. But they forgot to make it simple or make the focus on what is the actual thing of it, and it's just it's a shame because the cast is great. I like the cast, and yeah, Gunpowder Milkshake. Let's say this, there's a reason why in the US this movie is going straight to Netflix. But if you're in the rest of the world, Snake Eyes next week. Why you go see that film next week?